Before this video starts, I just want to point out I'm not an all-knowing Reinhardt god. I'm just a platinum tank player. So if I say something incorrect, don't be afraid to correct me. And here we go. So my first bit of advice on playing Reinhardt is actually knowing when to pick Reinhardt. Let's say your team has a Genji, Winston, Mercy, Lucio, and Pharah. There's no point to have Reinhardt anymore because they're all going to be in front of your shield, and you can only shield yourself at that point. My second piece of advice is knowing when to shield and when to do damage. If you and the enemy Reinhardt are standing there with your shields up, don't be afraid to drop your shield every now and then to swing to get your ult charge up. On the other hand, if the enemy team has an Orisa, for example, you have to keep that shield up for a lot of the time because she's just going to melt you if you drop it. My next tip is going to be about knowing when to actually drop your shield. If your team is staggered and you're the only one there, there's no point to have your shield up at that moment. If you did have your shield up, you would be blocking damage for nobody, and you would have to wait for it to recharge when your team actually does arrive, and Overwatch is a game about time. My next tip is going to be communicating about your shield's health. When I'm playing as Reinhardt, I always try to tell my team how much health my shield has left. I don't like to talk much, so I like to say the numbers very quickly, so for 1900 I would say 19, or for 700 I would say 7. Before we get off the subject of shield, I want to give one little quick tip with shielding. When your shield's about to break, or it's really close to it, Reinhardt has a voice line saying something along the lines of, "My shield's almost dead." And if the enemy team has another Reinhardt, you can use this to your advantage in a mind game situation. If you know for a fact the enemy Reinhardt has his ultimate up, you can convince him that your shield's actually destroyed when it's not, and he's gonna Earth Shatter, and you can just stick your shield back up with like 200 HP, completely negating his ultimate. My friend was the inspiration for the next tip. He would always charge as Reinhardt, and his reasoning for that was it was his primary damage ability. And after a few days, we finally convinced him that it wasn't. So the actual tip is knowing when to charge and when not to charge. I like to think of two things when I'm charging. The first and most important is, am I gonna live if I charge right now? If I'm not gonna live, I'm most likely not gonna charge unless it's a do or die situation. My second tip is, am I going to pin somebody if I charge? And if I'm not, I'm probably not going to charge. My final tip is communicating when you're going to Earth Shatter. This is one thing I don't do often myself and I need to start doing. And I also see many people in my MMR not do it as well. Even if you get that 6-man Earth Shatter, if you didn't tell anybody on your team you're going to do it, they're going to have to play reactively instead of proactively, just like the enemy team. So if you got to this point in the video, thank you very much for watching all the way through. If you have any ideas for videos in the future, just put them in the comments below, because I don't know what I'm going to do. And this channel needs some type of corny outro, so ours is going to be, have a good one.